Hello, how are you? This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today we're going to play with it. Haven't used it yet. This is my unicorn, guys, a binder. I found it, and it's not the Cinch. This is the Zutter unit, and I found it, so we're going to use it. Okay? Ooh. So I haven't even played with this thing yet. We're going to play with it. And the reason we're going to play with it is because I was inspired to do so. And I was inspired because I went to the thrift store and I went scavenger and I found more of these. I have more of these than any person needs. I have these things literally up to 15 by 10 inches. All different colors, all different sizes. But I also found a set of unruled index cards. And I thought, these things go together, right? So I brought them home, and I tea-dyed about 50 cards, you know. And then I took those, and I grabbed a set of, they're 5 tabs, so I grabbed 5 of those, and then I put 4 cards into each one of them, and I said, you know what? That can be a ring-bound journal. It could be a little ring-bound journal. And I got this little, I thought that would be cute, right? So what we're going to do is you can do this with a regular hole punch and locking rings if you want to. And in a minute I will tell you how to do, you know, the lineup for that, how to make a little template so that you can pop your holes all in the same place to be able to do this with just the regular lock rings. If you have the binding system, then of course use the binding system. It's entirely up to you. All right, so I'm going to get this off the desk for now because we're not going to be doing this right away, and we're going to go over how to make the template to do these, and then we're going to talk a little bit about decorating and things like that, and we're going to get these all inked up and ready to go. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. So if you're going to use locking rings to do this, you're going to want to build a template first. And the reason you're going to want to build a template is so that you know that all the holes are in the right place. So to do that, I just take a regular piece of heavy cardstock, just a scrap that has a nice straight edge on it, and I use my ruler to show 1/4 inch, and then I divide my width, which is 5 inches, so we're going to mark it 2.5, and then I'm going to come in 1 inch on either side. So 1 inch in from here and 1 inch in from there. So I'm marking it 1, 2.5, and 4. And then I can take a hole punch. And of course, if you have the crocodile, or the, the big hole punch, use that one. If not, use whatever hole punch you've got. And I just pop my holes. Okay, so I do this in one of 2 ways. I'm either going to do this one, which is the 1/4 inch, or I do the 3/8 inch. And all I do to see how this is going to work is I take one of my cover pieces or index cards, and I just line it on there, and I go, okay, well, this is where my loop would be, or this is where my loop will be. And for this one, because it's so small, I like the 1/4 inch, so I've made a template for 1/4 inch, and that's what I would use. So if you're going to use locking rings to do this, you're going to want to build a template first. And the reason you're going to want to build a template is so that you know that all the holes are in the right place. So to do that, I just take a regular piece of heavy cardstock, just a scrap that has a nice straight edge on it, and I use my ruler to show 1/4 inch, and then I divide my width, which is 5 inches, so we're going to mark it 2.5, and then I'm going to come in 1 inch on either side. So 1 inch in from here and 1 inch in from there. So I'm marking it 1, 2.5, and 4. And then I can take a hole punch, and of course, if you have the crocodile, or the the big hole punch, use that one. If not, use whatever hole punch you've got. And I just pop my holes. Okay, so I do this in one of two ways. I'm either going to do this one, which is the 1/4 of an inch, or I do the 3/8 of an inch. And all I do to see how this is going to work is I take one of my cover pieces or index cards and I just line it on there and I go, okay, well, this is where my loop would be, or this is where my loop will be. And for this one, because it's so small, I like the 1/4 inch, so I've made a template for 1/4 inch, and that's what I would use. Okay, so real easy, easy peasy to make the template. We're going to go ahead and move forward now. At this point, let me get this out of the way. At this point, since I have all my cards and I have my divider tabs in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink everything. I'm just going to ink it all, because I don't know what I'm going to be doing on these pages, but I do know that I'm going to ink them. So I'm going to get out my ink and my Dauber, and I'm just going to ink all of these all the way around, inside and out, fronts and backs, all the way until I get this just the way that I want it. And then I will be back after everything is inked up, and I have inked everything. It is inked front and back, all the cards, and all of the index cards in here, all of my pages. It's all been inked, and I have it clipped and set to the side. Now, if you are going to decorate with paper all the way over, you know, to the edge or almost to the edge, then don't poke your holes yet. Wait to do that until you've got all your paper down, all your mats. Otherwise, you're going to have to poke holes twice, and then you run the risk of the holes being out of alignment. I recommend using paper, okay? If you have some 6x6 pads and it's paper, then by all means use that, because it's the perfect size for the 3x5s. If you have the ones that are like this, you can still use it, but just keep in mind that it's going to be kind of heavy on your book, okay? So I'm going to be using paper, and to do that, I'm going to be using some K & Company. I love K & Company, but most K & Company is cardstock. I picked this pad up. It is 360 sheets, and it is paper. So I'm going to be picking, I don't know, about 10, 12 sheets out of this. I have 16 pages to cover, plus my covers. So $26 total. So, you know, I'm going to probably pull 10 to 13, maybe 14 pages out of here, just so I have paper that I can use. And if you have scraps that are bigger than 3x5, by all means use them. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull some paper out of here, and then I will be back, and we'll look at the ones that I've picked, because this is a big book to try and show you on camera. It's monster, huge book. So I will pick some out, and then I will come back and show you on camera the ones that I picked before we start anything else. I'll be back. Let's take a look at the pieces that I've chosen. So obviously these are big patterns, but when you take an index card and you put it on here, there's multiple places that you could cut to make it work. So let me show you. This one, which I really just kind of like this area up here, and this one, and you can see, you know, you can go here or there, or you could go over here, or you could get most of that flower, so that works. And then this, of course, because it's just a nice pattern. And then there's this again, you know, you can come in here and take like this piece here and maybe a piece over here. And this, I mean, it's just adorable. And you've got the dragonfly and everything, so you could do like a whole set there. Again, I really just kind of like this upper area up here. Maybe this little dogwood flower with the blue. And so all I'm doing is just, I take my card and I just kind of go, yeah, okay, I could use that area. I like that. Yeah, there's some places in here. And of course, there's some things here that I like. And here. Ooh, and that's pretty with the different colors of green here. You know, and then you find that spot. So we may do a little fussy cutting here, you know, to get the pieces that we want, but that's okay. We can always use the scraps. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to start cutting my paper down to the size that I want. So my cards are 3 inches by 5 inches. So I want a very scant line around them. So I'm going to be cutting these at 4 3/4 by 2 3/4. That's just going to put 1/8 of an inch around the outside, okay? So I'm going to be cutting at 2 3/4 by 4 3/4, and I'm going to cut these all down to the right size, and then I'm going to go ahead and get started putting them on. So I'm going to cut and get some pieces and get them inked up, and then I'll be back. So I have all my pieces cut down to the size that you know, I'm going to need, and then I have them all inked, and I went ahead and I kept all the scraps out, because you never know, you know, when like one little scrap like this might be what you need on the edge of a page or something. So here's a tip. When I'm inking paper that's really thin like this, I use another piece of cardstock and just kind of make sure that I keep it towards the edge, and it makes it easier to be able to ink this, you know, without the paper flopping around, because usually when you try to ink a piece of paper, you know, it does this whole floppy thing, and you end up pushing your finger up, and then you get more ink in one place than you do someplace else, and it looks like that, where you get a little sharp piece, and it's kind of silly looking. But if you put it on a piece of cardstock, you've got that support behind it. You can have a nice even line. Anyway, just a tip. If you're new to this, you know, if you've been around for a while, you know this stuff. All right, so now the important thing is to find the cover and the back, which are now mixed in. So let me find those real quick. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. It was one of those pinkish colored ones. Let's take a look. There we go. Okay. So this is our front cover and our back cover. I'm going to bring in my pieces. Now, this is paper, so you want to be real careful using glue on this. You want to use a fast setting glue, or go ahead and stick to tape. Alright? So I'm going to be using the art glitter glue that I always use. Just get the tip cleaned up a little bit here. Let's make sure we get some flow. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just put glue around this, nice and close to the edge. And then down the middle, sparingly. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this on my front here, and I have a very scant border on this, like 1/16 of an inch. It's tiny, okay? So I'm going to get that on there, and then I'm going to work my way through to this one at the back, and once I have them all done, then I will be able to punch this to bind this. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my paper, you put in yours, and we'll meet back here in a few minutes, okay? Now, all of our main pages are glued in. So now we can start punching our holes, okay? So, that being said, let me get it up here. here it is. And I think we can probably do one section at a time. And I've already set the bar here so that this is in the middle. So all I have to do is put them in, just like that. And obviously that's the end that we're going to be popping the holes in. Let's see if we can pop the holes in this all the pages at the same time. And we can. So we're just going to go ahead and put it over here. And then we'll do, so that's the first one and this is the second one. So we're just going to go ahead and put this one in. And we're going to put it right up against the bar. And then we can stack. So we're just going to grab, 3 or 4 at a time, put it in here, pull the hammer down. And then we're just going to stack. And I'm going to go through and do all of these. There's a little thing here you can put back like that keeps it from tilting. But it's not like I have a lot of room up here. We're going to move Scully for a second. Okay. Just like that. Put that there. This one. There. That one. And this last one. Okie dokie. So now I have all the holes punched, and they're punched properly. And at this point, I can put the spiral bind on it, or I can decorate the pages. And I'm going to put the binding on it because, I'm that way. I like to kind of get it done. Because this pad is K & Company, even though it's the Susan Wingett, it lends itself, the colors and everything lend themselves to most of the K & Company type stuff. So I have some wild saffron here, which is from K & Company. I have some Susan Wingett in the purple and blue. This is also Susan Wingett, as is this. And then there's this one. This is Tim Coffee, but it still works. The colors are still right, so we grabbed that as well. And then I have this from My Mind's Eye, which is Lovely Day. And there's some pieces in here I think might work. And then I have some acetate flowers that I think will work. I do have a little rose border here that may work. It's really detailed. And I have this set here that I think like maybe this might work, or like this little part here minus the vase might work. So I grabbed these. These are also K & Company. These are called Chelsea Flower Images. Older K & Company. Brenda Walton. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get started. I'm going to be looking, maybe I want to put a couple of pockets in here and make some little mini tags to go in them, so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and get started on doing some decorating. So let's do some, first I think I'll do a couple of little pocket details. We'll do some pocket details for it, okay? So I'm going to get busy doing that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have these square tags, and I have the We Are Memory Keepers tag punch board. And I can use this punch board to cut my tags. And all I have to do is take this blade, and I just have to put the little piece in here, and you'll see there's a line right here. That is where the blade runs. So I'm just going to put that in and just cut that piece off, and then all I have to do is take this top piece, flip my tag over, and make sure that I'm up against the guide here and that the top piece is right there, and that is going to allow me to make the second cut. And these are perfectly even, and this is even all the way across. So I'm going to do, 3 or 4 of these. Doing them right here. Got that in. So I'm just going to cut a few of these. And then we can decorate. So I have a few of those done. I'm going to take that and put it back away. And if you don't have the tag punch, do the standard. Cut off the part you want on one side, then take that piece and put it on the other side and nip that part off. And if you don't trust yourself to do that, here's a trick. On the back of almost every scoreboard is a diagonal line. Now this line is actually to make envelopes, but if you take your paper that you're going to be using and you put it at a certain mark, and for me that's going to be this one right here because it's a tiny tag, so I'm going to put it on the 3, and then just take whatever your straight cutter is, put it in that groove and cut through there, then turn it over, and you want to make sure that you have that right on that line. So what I do is I take another piece of paper and I put it right there, and then I just move that up to it, and then I just take my little wheel and I cut through, and it makes a perfect tag. Okay, and then if I have a little bit of this on there, I can trim it off with a pair of scissors. But the most important part is, let me get a piece that you guys can see. My tag is even from side to side, okay? So if you don't have a way to cut tags, this will do it for you, all right? All you have to do is just put it in there and just run whatever, your X-Acto knife or your rotary cutter, whatever it is you have, just run it through that line, and that will give you a perfect tag each time. Just a little from me to you. Okay? All right. So now we have 5 tags that we can work with. And we're going to be adding some paper to the tags. And what I do is I just kind of glue the paper down, and then I trim it up later. So I know I'm not going to put glue above my points here because that's where my paper is going to go. And I have a very little overhang here, and I will just trim that off with my scissors or my trimmer, whatever. Trim that. And this. And then if I want to round my corners, I just come in and round my corners. And I have my tag. Okay? And I'm going to be doing, you know, some decorating on these. So I'm just going to put paper on some of these, and then I'll be back and we will start decorating. So we went ahead and we made little reinforcers for all of these, except this one, because this one was so close to the top, I decided to use a commercial clear plastic one on this, just to make sure that we keep that pretty solid. So now we're going to decorate. Now these two don't need to be decorated because they've already kind of got decoration on them, but these 5 do need something. So we're going to go in and see what we've got. Now let me open this up. Let's take a look in here because there's a couple of things in here. Like this little piece. I think this will actually make a reasonably nice little journal card for this. It's not like we have a lot of space, you know. So, got a little flower and a butterfly down here, I see. Let's see. So I have this little blue flower and a little butterfly. They might work on this one. And don't really want to use any of this gold foil stuff if I don't have to. No. We're just working on these right at the moment. So I'm going to tuck this stuff in here. We're going to look a little bit at some of these other pieces that we have. All right. So now we're going to start kind of putting these things down. And, you know, we'll ink things when it's appropriate. We're going to have to make some tiny little pockets for this. It's a tiny little book. All right. So that is one. Trim that off of there. Touch that up. Okay. So that's one. And then this one over here. Just going to ink just the tips. Being careful here. To just get the tips. And to get all the tips. Okay. And then we're going to put some glue on this. And that's going to go right there. And then this little guy is just going to live right here. And I'm not even going to bother to ink him because I don't want to discolor him. He's a ladybug. Well, he's a man bug, but you know, we call them ladybugs. Alright, and then we have this one here. And again, this one doesn't really need to be inked. It does need to have the cellophane taken off the front of it. There we go. Will stick to my hand forever and ever and ever. And then I don't entirely trust the glue on the back of these, so we'll just put a couple of drops on there. Go ahead and press that down. Got that one. And then we have this little one over here that we're going to go ahead and ink just a little bit. Just to bring it off the paper. So I'm going to put this one down first. Just like that. This one. Right there. Okay. Extra glue into the corner there. Alrighty. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tags. All done. We are going to have to make some pockets too. Alright. I'm going to call this the end because this is probably about 40 minutes long at least. We'll come back in a second video to finish decorating this. I'm going to go ahead and get my desk cleared off here so that we can work. And I'll see you next time. Listen, if you're new here and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me, like me, ring my bell, and share me with all your friends. And then your friends can be my friends, and my friends can be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends. And before you know it, we have a giant, friendly crafting community. Until the next time, stay safe. Bye-bye.